So my talk today is what it means to take a risk. I don't have slides because I'm not that risky. I have never really used slides in a risk, and they were like, yo, where are your slides? And I was like, do I have to use slides? And they said no, and I said, I'm just not gonna do it. Never done it before. Don't think I'd want to risk it up here, at least not today. So instead, I'm gonna do what is basically the one thing I'm good at, which is telling a story. I want to talk to you guys a little bit today about something that is just, truly, truly stomach turning, just disgusting, guys. I want to talk to you guys about love. I understand that could automatically make you think, oh man, this sucks. She's just gonna tell us about being in love. And no, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna talk to you about my experience with being in love. But I'm gonna bring it back around. I'm gonna make it make sense for you as well, I promise. I'm sure some of you have been in love, at least you. You're very pretty. Someone's loved you, whether you know it or not. So yeah, here we go. I want to talk to you guys about the relationship that I'm currently in. Kelly, Stacy, yes, he has 2 lady names. People keep asking me, oh man, if you guys get married, are you gonna change your last name? And I'm like, you want us to be Kelly and Ashley Stacy? You want us to just sound like 3 white girls going to the mall in the 80s? I'm not interested. I'm gonna pass on that specifically, not on him. I want to tell you a little bit about Kelly and I's story, which is that we were in a class together, a class that was set up like a seminar, a production company. This was in college. I'm 4 years older than Kelly sometimes, for like a month, and then I'm 3 years older than him, but whatever, those are details. Kelly was in the class. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't notice him that first day, but apparently he noticed me. Kelly is a really wonderful, just terribly white man, and he's kind of dirty blonde and long hair and blue eyes and stuff. And we're from Indiana, and we went to college in Indiana, just extremely corn-fed. Is that the Hoosiers out here? All my love to you, also him. Kelly was all right. He was a cool guy, I didn't pay a whole lot of attention to him. I definitely didn't think he liked me. He drove like a pickup truck and was listening to Johnny Cash all the time. And all of his people are from Kentucky, so even though he's from Indiana, he's got a little bit of an accent. Look at me. I didn't think he was gonna be into me. I thought he was looking for Taylor Swift. But Kelly was into me. And he pursued me in his very funny, very smart, very awkward way. Eventually, we went on a first date, 4-wheeling. And we got all gross and muddy and dirty and stuff or whatever, and he kissed me, and it was the best. And we were in that pickup truck on the way home, and Brown-Eyed Girl came on the radio, and he kind of reached over and held my hand, and I let him hold my hand, but also kind of rolled my eyes. I was like, I'm black, Brown-Eyed Girl, yeah, I have brown eyes. But you know how college goes. Kelly and I hung out for a while. We really liked each other and decided to be friends, but he had goals that I didn't have, and he wanted to go out into the world and do a lot of things that I didn't necessarily want to do. So we said, hey, let's just stay friends and not do the whole thing. And that's what we decided to do for a while. Kelly moved to Seattle, and a year after moving to Seattle, he showed up on my doorstep, smoking a cigarette, which was weird because he didn't smoke, and well, apparently Seattle made him smoke. And he knocked on my door. I opened the door, and I saw him, and I said, hey, and he stomped out the cigarette, and he grabbed me and he kissed me. And then he said, are you seeing anybody? And I said, no. And then he said, well, all right. And a week later, we were in a relationship. He had to go back to Seattle. I was still staying in Indiana. It was such a hard decision for me to make because my risk in life is love. I am a person who feels deeply. I feel so hard. I feel everything. I used to cry at the season finale of every single episode, every season of The Real World. I cried every time. I couldn't believe that these people had lived together and loved together and fought, and now they had to just go off into their different corners of the world. I couldn't take that. I was also 12, but whatever. It never really went away. I still have that. I feel so much. And here was this guy who showed up, and he's on my doorstep, and he's like, by the way, I love you. And I'm like, oh, cool. And I was nervous. I was terrified. But in the time Kelly had been gone, I'd gone on some dates, some bad ones, some good ones, just bad ones. I was trying to make my ratio sound a little bit more normal, but the truth is they were terrible. They were all terrible. And I really, really had gotten it into my head that I knew what kind of love I wanted. I knew how I wanted to feel, and I knew how I wanted to be able to make someone else feel. And when Kelly came along, I realized this was a person who was open, at least, to all the things I wanted from someone in love. Which meant two things. He could either be the one, or he could be the one who ruined it for everybody else. It was a risk I was terrified to take. The stakes were so high for me. I took it because I knew what I wanted, and I took it because he was a good guy, and I took it because I wanted to. The stakes were high, but they were worth it. So I gave it a shot. Something that was harder for me was opening up to Kelly and telling him about things that I wasn't necessarily proud of. One of those things was the fact that I'm a person who has seizures. And it's not something that I talk about a lot because the minute you say you have seizures, people just start looking for one. I'm telling you, you get a shiver and they're like, do you need me to call 911? Is everything okay? And you're like, yeah, just a little cold in here. You could maybe turn down the air conditioning, but that's all I need. But one time I was having a seizure and Kelly was there, and even in the seizure, I was trying to get him to go away. I was so embarrassed. I didn't want him to see me like that. I was worried. And he was not worried. He was just there. And while I was in the midst of not being able to control my body, he leaned down and he looked at me and he said, don't be nervous. Don't be scared. Don't be embarrassed. I'm not going anywhere. I have all the love in the world for you right in here. And thank you. I mean, I guess that's for him. I'll tell him that you guys clap for that. So we continued to do this thing. I continued to open up. He continued to show up. And eventually, I ended up moving to New York for a job. He left Seattle, came and met me in New York, uprooted his entire life. And this just continued over and over and over, us taking risks for each other, us taking risks because of each other. Me deciding to quit a job I didn't want anymore, him supporting me in that. Him decided to take a job that he really wanted, but that was gonna make a lot less money, and me supporting him in that. Because what we realized about our love and about risk was that it just has to be worth it. It just has to be worth it. When I talked about wanting to write a book, and I found a literary agent, and she told me to write a proposal, and I was writing the book, but didn't want to write the proposal, I was terrified, because writing the book could just be for me. A proposal was for somebody else, and it was for somebody else to judge and decide whether or not my book deserved a place in the world. So I avoided it. I avoided the hell out of it. And Kelly said, you're never going to be happy until you finish that proposal. You're never going to be okay until you finish that proposal. Other things are going on in your life, and you'll enjoy them, and other people will enjoy them, and they'll give you lots of good feedback about it. And in the back of your head, you'll be going, I should do that proposal. No, I shouldn't do that proposal. And he was right. I don't know if he put like a hex on me or what it was, but he was right. No matter what I did, no matter how big it was, no matter who I got to interview, what I got to write, how people responded to it, in the back of my head, it was, yeah, but you still haven't finished that proposal. And I felt like that because I wanted to. It was the risk I needed to make, and it was the risk I was terrified to make. I finished that proposal here, in my hotel room. I mean, not the first draft of it, guys, but the final draft of it. My agent and I are sending it out next week. I'm terrified, but I have to do it. It's the risk worth taking. It's the risk that the love of my life encouraged me to take. Now I'm going to tell you guys why this love and risk thing work together, if you didn't already get it from the love story I told. It's a nice love story. There are 3 things I want to tell you about love and risk. The first one being that love is active, so is risk. Kelly and I wouldn't be together if he was still sitting in Seattle thinking, man, I really loved that Ashley Ford. Hope she's doing all right. That could totally be the case. And the only reason it's not is because he showed up. He did something about the love that he felt. I had to do the same. I mean, I didn't go to Seattle. But I opened myself up to him in a way I had never, ever, ever allowed anybody else to see me in my entire life. If you love something, if you love the work of something, if you love putting something into the world, you have to do the same thing. You have to be active in it. I mean, you're here, and that's great. It is awesome that you're here. That says something, that means something. But you also absolutely have to take the risks necessary to get closer to the kind of work you actually want to be making in the world. Because people will pay you and encourage you to do whatever the status quo is. And if that's not what's in your heart, it's never going to be enough, no matter how much you get paid or how much people praise it. It's never going to be enough. The second thing is that love liberates. I stole that from Dr. Maya Angelou. But that's what she says, love liberates, it doesn't bind. Kelly and I are at very different places in our life professionally. He has never asked me to be less so that he could be more. He has never asked me to shine less so that he looks brighter. Ever, 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 ever. He has only encouraged me to expand and to be more of who I already am. He has liberated me in certain ways. That's what your love for your work and the risks you take for your work should do for you. It shouldn't confine you. It shouldn't limit you. It shouldn't box you in. It should fan you out. It should challenge you. It should take you to places that you didn't even really know you were capable of going. And the third thing I would say is that love will never let you down ultimately. Ultimately. Everybody's had their heart broken, probably. You've broken some hearts, pretty girl, you have. You may not know it, but you have. But when you love, when you really love, when you love, it's not a mistake. When you risk, it's not a mistake. People may not respond to it the way you want them to. They may not respond to it very well at all. That doesn't make it a mistake. And it doesn't make it something that you can't learn from. My entire point is that you have to make those leaps toward love, toward risk, all of them. Make those leaps because you're going to be better for it. And you're going to like what you create more. You're going to like yourself more when you make those leaps. And it's hard at first, but you build the confidence. You learn how to do it better every single time. So you will do it better every time. You will. So I'm just asking you today to love and leap toward the life you actually want. Thank you. Roman.
That was very nice. Hi.
Lovely to see you again.
It is lovely to see you. This is the love section of the conference.
Oh yeah, midnight love.
That was great. Oh, thank you. So let's talk about risk in other aspects of your life. I know you happen to take some risks in your professional life as well, and so could you talk us through making those choices and you know the times in which they work at cross purposes of the risk that you take in your personal life?
Yeah. When I take professional risks, they usually have to do with the fact that whatever I'm doing at the moment is no longer working for me. Mm-hmm. And I'm really not the kind of person who can stay in the kind of place where I have that sort of psychic and creative agitation, where I can't do the thing I want to do. I've always had issues with authority, terrible at being told what to do. And I think that when I've made those risks professionally, the thing that I've always been trying to do is, ask myself is, Ashley, does this get you closer to doing the kind of work that gives you the most fulfillment? Mm-hmm. And does it also get you closer to living the kind of life you want to lead? And Kelly and I are we're getting married next year. And we're partners in life and in love, obviously. And so I'm always thinking about the kind of life that I want to have with him, the kind of creative life and the kind of work that I want to do on my own and the kind of work that we'd like to do together. So whenever I'm making professional choices, I'm understanding that you spend all day at work in a lot of cases. Mm-hmm. It is such a big part of your life. And if you hate it, if it's making you miserable, if any of those things are happening, it's not worth it. Yeah. I'd rather be broke and living in Kelly's mom's basement in Indiana than to be at a job where I come home depressed and get in the bed immediately with all my clothes on.
That's good. It's good to know that. I had a friend of mine who used to say, sometimes when you're in a job, you're on this ladder, and it's great to climb that ladder. It feels fulfilling to climb that ladder, but sometimes you realize you're on the wrong ladder. Mm-hmm. And it's good to know when to switch.
Very good to know. It's necessary work to know whether or not you're on the right ladder, because I think one of the saddest things in the world is when a person reaches the top of a ladder and then they look around and go, what the hell am I doing up here? Yeah. You know, I think it's really heartbreaking for people to put in all that time and energy and that work, because time and energy are basically the only things we can't buy or get back. Mm-hmm. You can't buy more time. You can't buy more energy. Unless you get one of them 5-hour energies, but those don't always work. And because you can't get that back, it's if you spend all that time, focused on what is essentially a goal for other people and not a goal for yourself, mm-hmm. I can't imagine how devastating it must feel to realize that once you've reached the pinnacle.
Right. Do you think of risk-taking as a practice for you, or is it something that comes naturally to you?
Oh, it's all a practice.
Yeah.
Like, you have to practice it. I think part of the problem with things like risk and empathy and love and all these things are people think you're just supposed to automatically be good at it. It's like, if I didn't get it right the first time, I'm not good at doing that thing. Mm-hmm. And that's not the case. That's never been the case. It's always been a practice. It's always been something that you get better the more you do it. It's, you know, just to use that age-old analogy, it's like a muscle. It's like a muscle. And you know how it is. Like, you can't just spend 18 hours in the gym all at once and look really good tomorrow. Like, that's not how that works. You have to keep going. You have to keep, you know, tearing that muscle and building it back up, tearing that muscle and building it back up. And then you get to a place where it's second nature. And you're always going to have lapses in judgment. You're always going to have moments where you weren't the most loving or the most risky or, you know, the bravest that you could have been. But you can get back on track. Mm-hmm. And every time it gets easier to get back on track.
So you, obviously, as evidenced by this talk, you use a lot of your personal life in your work.
I do.
And it's out there in the world, on the internet, and you're on Twitter, and people are interacting with you in all these ways. And mm-hmm. How do you know what is the right thing to share? You know, what is that, managing that risk about for you?
I'm the kind of person who thinks the right thing to share is the thing I'm ready to share. There are things I'm not ready to share. Like, there are things that I don't know if I'll ever talk about them publicly, mm-hmm. you know, because I don't know that I'll ever be ready for it. But I'm a person who's really good about checking in with herself and, you know, knowing if I wouldn't say this to the mailman, don't put it on Twitter, personally. Like, if I couldn't have a discussion with the mailman, like, where I would just be like, yeah, and I really feel like this, or I think this, then I probably won't put it on Twitter. Unless it's like, I don't know. I probably wouldn't talk to the mailman about farts, but I'll talk about farts on Twitter.
That's what it's for.
Yeah. It's like, sometimes you just gotta talk about farts.
Do you have to check in with Kelly about what you do?
I try to, because he's not on social media at all. Mm-hmm. He doesn't do social media. He has no, like, country for it. He's just a guy who, like, gets really excited because some Russian translated 700-page novel shows up, and he's like, yeah. Like, that's his Friday night. He's just a geek. He's just a huge geek. I love him. But I do check with him about what makes him uncomfortable. Like, would it make you uncomfortable if I put this on Twitter or, you know, or on Instagram or whatever? And every once in a while, he'll be like, it would be nice if you would put less pictures of me sleeping on Instagram. And I would be like, but you're so cute when you're sleeping. And he's like, yeah, but now people at work are kind of starting to give me shit about all these pictures of me sleeping on Instagram. And I'm like, okay, all right. So I try to respect his space and his sleep time. I mean,
were you? That's very good of you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Ashley Ford. Please give her a round.
Thank you.
Oh, boy, yeah.